4th. A quorum is not present, and the Minnesota Senate Education Policy Committee will now come to order. Today we're going to hear Senate File 2540, Senate File 3685, and a presentation from Board of School Administrators. But before we get to that, there's been a lot of changes here at the Capitol. First of all, thank you for all the young people that are here today in the audience. It's whatever the visual anecdote to music to my ears, to see all of you young people in the audience today. It's being engaged in this process called democracy and civic engagement and all those wonderful attributes we try to instill in all Minnesotans. Anyways, so there's a packet in in your packets is a presentation, members. Well, there's only two of you. Well, one of you, I should say member, because Mary will. I'll come back to this later. Okay. Well, Mary already had the presentation, so it's just you, Senator Coleman, that I'd be talking about. I'm going to wait on that. Sorry about the digression. So March 4th, 1861, prior to the 20th Amendment, presidents took the oath of office on March 4th. And the 20th Amendment changed it to January 20th, which is what we're all familiar with, that President of the United States takes the oath of office on January 20th at noon every 4 years. But prior to the 20th Amendment taking effect in 1933, the date was March 4th. And on March 4th, today, 1861, we were probably the most divided we've ever been as a nation. We were the most divided, maybe, that we have ever been as a nation, because the next 4 years, we would erupt into civil war. And when President Lincoln took the oath of office, this is what he tried to remind us. We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passion may have strained the friendships, it must not break our bonds of affection. The mystic cords of memory, stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone all over this broad and beautiful land, will yet swell the chorus of the Union, when again touched, as surely they will be, and here comes the classic line that we all love referencing, but by the better angels of our nature. It's a nice day today to pause and just ask your soul, are you displaying the better angels of our nature that Lincoln so eloquently asked of us 165 years ago, or whatever the math is? So thank you for indulging me. A quorum is now present. So with that said, members, you'll see in your packets a slide deck /PowerPoint from yesterday in Education Finance Committee that I wanted to have in your packets for those members that aren't in finance. I think you'll find the information, and they're very insightful and thought-provoking. So I would like to remind all members that our county administrator, Mrs. Elmer, sent out a schedule for you to try to bring 2 students. A date was assigned to you to bring the committee, and the ball's in their court. Just pick 2 students from your district that whatever you want them to have the opportunity to say, and let the Education Policy Committee know what those students would like to share with us. Next week, Senator Duckworth is first to bring in his 2 students, and then we have others coming after that. So we're beginning today with 2 fine young students from Minneapolis, Malik Miller and Priya Bashal. Introduce yourself, probably pronounce your name better than I did, and share with us whatever you'd like to share with the committee. And thank you, everybody, for being here today.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Priya Bashal, and I'm a senior at Washburn High School, and I also serve on the Minneapolis Public Schools Citywide Student Leadership Board. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'm here to share about the critical shortage of mental health resources in Minneapolis Public Schools. At Washburn, we have seen our on-site therapy staff reduced from 2 professionals to just 1 for a student body of 1,800. With a ratio of 1 provider to 1,800 students, it is impossible to offer consistent, proactive care to all the Washburn students seeking support. An endless waiting list is not only a barrier, but a message to students that their well-being is not a priority. This is only one example of resources falling short of student needs. This lack of resources is even more devastating when you consider the unique stressors our community faces. Due to the presence of federal immigration officers in Minnesota, many of my peers are living in a state of instability and constant fear. When students are navigating the trauma of potential family separation or the targeting of their specific identities, they require sustained, culturally responsive care. Currently, we do not have the funding to address the fear and chaos that the federal immigration efforts have brought to Minneapolis students already navigating the challenges of growing into young adults. Schools are the foundation of our community's health and safety. When we leave mental health needs unaddressed at school age, those challenges follow students into the workforce, healthcare system, and potentially the judicial system. By supporting funding for public schools and mental health resources, we can address the root cause of crises our community faces beyond education. Investing in student well-being ensures that young people are prepared to contribute to safe and healthy Minnesota communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee. My name is Malik Miller. I am a senior at Camden High School, formerly known as Patrick Henry. I'm here able to speak on my behalf as a position in the Minneapolis Public School District's citywide leadership board. But today I'm here to speak for those whose voices are suppressed, for those classmates who are hiding in fear of being terrorized, for those students who are over-identified in special education, whose voices can't be heard, can't be understood because they are labeled with a cognitive disability, which leads them to being placed in separated classrooms from the rest of the student population. For those who sadly don't get to walk the stage and shake hands like I will be able to do 3 months from now. Students like 14-year-old Xavier Barnett, who tragically lost his life walking home from school. A normal day at Camden for us. These young voices in Minnesota are being suppressed due to the rampant budget cuts that students are starting to see the mental and physical effects of. To me and my many other student peers that you see here with us today, continuous budget cuts in education feels like lost hope in the next generation. It took me, I would say, 4 years to finally understand what high school truly brings you, and it's a sense of community, a sense of belonging from staff and classmates. But when I took this intro to urban education and intro to special education, I realized very quickly that there are very, very wide gaps in special education. Students are being separated from classrooms, being placed in opposite halls, even opposite sides of the school, where they don't learn anything. They cut and they paste and they glue things the whole day. Students are being over-identified for having anger issues that results in cognitive disabilities, being over-identified, being placed in classes where they lack the rigorous education that they truly deserve. But also, I'm seeing the effects of the Ecuadorian students in my school who live in fear of walking home, walking to the bus stop, who have to stay home and lose the meaningful social connections that we build. They live in fear because they are terrorized. And not only terrorized, they are afraid of what is happening at their school. Members, I come to you today to talk about the fact that a lack of funding is a lack of opportunity for students. It's a lack of hope. It's a lack of faith. For me, a big issue I see is transportation needs. Students have to walk 3 blocks to the bus stop, where they will get on the bus with members of society, members of the community that can look like members with drug addictions and alcohol addictions, things that they can't control. Put these students in a very harmful environment, very dangerous environment. Something that we've thought about at Camden is moving the bus stop closer, getting better transportation for our students, which is a protection not only for students but also for those who worry, like parents. Members, I ask that you look into transportation needs across schools like MPS, who use bus systems, metro transit systems, and train systems. And I ask that you do a better job of protecting those students from gun violence that we continuously see harm our students in America. Thank you for your time.
We're not supposed to applaud, but my committee administrator admonished me when I tried to squelch that last time. So well-deserved, you two. Members, any comments or anything addition? Don't lose hope. You two are a reminder to, oh, I'm sorry. I'll finish and then I'll call on Senator McQuaid. You two are a reminder to this august body of that we're not losing hope, because we meet people like you two that give us hope that the future's in good hands. Keep up the work you're doing, and when you mentioned walking across the stage to receive your diploma. Stop the pace and seize that brief moment, because it's easy to just walk across that stage and all of a sudden you go back down those couple steps and you go, wow, what just happened? So just take a breath, look out at that crowd and go, I earned this. Senator McQuaid.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I was trying not to let you have the last word, so I apologize. But I want to thank you both so much for coming, and I want you both to know that we didn't just hear it, we're listening. It is so important that you are here in front of this committee. We make the decisions that impact you the most, and you all the most. And I know this is not an easy place to come to. I know the procedure can feel a little archaic and slow, right? Sometimes you're saying, can you do something right now? This isn't the finance committee, so I won't bring up all my finance bills that address mental health or transportation, but I have them and I would love to share them with you. But I really want you to know that it matters that you are here, and I deeply, deeply am grateful for you giving voice to the experiences for yourselves and for your classmates. So thank you so much for being here.
Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you both for being here and for your testimony. To Mr. Miller, I have awesome last name, by the way. I do have a question. You were talking about transportation and bus stops. Just for clarity for me, when you mentioned that you're thinking, or you guys are discussing the possibility of moving those bus stops closer, is the concern the bus stop picking up students to bring them to school, or is the concern where the students are getting dropped off at school?
The concern is more the safety regarding the bus. When you take public transportation, you're taking it with many people, right? Not only that, but the walk to the bus stop. We've seen kids being used as bait by federal investigators. So to limit that chances of our students being used as bait or even being picked up from that 3-block radius, we want to move the bus stops closer to the school. And it's something we actually seen in our school during a time of construction for the bus stop. They move something we have to see in a D line. They moved it closer to the school where students will walk outside the school, walk around the corner, and the buses were there for them. That is something that I want to implement fully into the school year.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Miller, so you're talking, and again, just so I'm clear, so public transportation, dropping students off, you're trying to make that bus stop closer to the school so they have to walk less distance from the bus stop to the school?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, you, both of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So next up, Senator Rarick, Senate File 2540. Senator Rarick, welcome to the committee. Today, the intention is to send Senate File 2540 to the Committee on Education Finance. Senator May Quaid, would you like to make a motion for Senate File 3625 be recommended to pass, referred to the Committee on Education Finance?
So moved.
Senator Rarick, I understand you have the A2 amendment.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have an author's amendment.
Senator May Quaid, do you care to move that?
I would move the A2 amendment.
So moved. Begin. Thank you, both of you. All those in favor of the author's amendment, the A2 amendment, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The amendment carries. Senator Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to begin by saying I see what you did to me there, putting me behind two incredible students testifying. I hope they understand so many people that come to testify are nervous, tense. They did a fabulous job, and they're going to be a hard act to follow. But, Mr. Chair, the bill that we have in front of the committee today is looking to supplement some of the things that we have been doing here at the legislature around reading. We have instituted a number of policies over the last few years to try to improve upon students' reading. But one of the things that I have been speaking to and advocating for around this area is we can do a lot of things in our schools to increase that, but it's also what's happening at home that has a huge impact on students' abilities to read. And that's what this is looking to get at, to help supplement the reading chances that students have outside of school at home. The original bill was meant to be a program for K through 5. We do understand the financial implications that we are facing right now. So the amendment that we adopted scales this way back to basically try to start a pilot program to show folks just how impactful this could be. Getting our youngest students the ability to have books at home to be able to read with their parents or whoever is there with them. I could go on, but I will turn it over to my testifiers because they know so much more about this subject.
Thank you, Senator. Is the first testifier remote?
Yes.
Okay, Larry Holland, whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Chair, committee members, first off, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to testify on behalf of this proposal. I'm coming to you from Mississippi, a state that understands this reading challenge quite well, and we're very proud of the progress that we're making. And we see that Minnesota is making similar progress, following a very similar path. And so we very much appreciate the efforts of Representative Rarick and Senator Rarick in bringing this proposal forward. The premise of our bill, as you've just heard, is relatively simple. It's not simple in its effect, and it's not simple in its implementation, but the theory of it is simple, and we've seen it play out in other states very successfully. In Minnesota, through the READ Act, you all have done two really important things that we see here in Mississippi have been impactful, and across the country are proving to be impactful. You first have ensured that the process of teaching reading follows the science of reading, and that there's consistent practice in that regard in the classroom from a curriculum standpoint. And then you've also supported the training of teachers. We know here in Mississippi that one of the most important things that we did to show the improvement that we're showing on the NAEP scores over the last many years has been to ensure that every teacher who has impact on kids' lives in elementary school understand how to teach reading and understand the science of reading. You all have got that well in hand and seeing progress already as a result. We think and we see in other states that one critical component, as you just heard, to this strategy should be incorporating into the strategy the home. Kids are at home more than they are in the classroom, and what we know about learning to read is that in order to become proficient, you have to practice. True of so many things in life. The more we do it, the better we are at that particular thing. And one of the things that we know is that in order to become proficient, kids need at least 20 minutes a day of practice reading. It's really hard for them to get that during the course of the day in school. So we understand and see that if you add the home as a component of the strategy for practice, kids will excel, and you'll see greater progress faster in your efforts to improve reading outcomes. What we know, though, about the current circumstance of most homes, especially homes in rural areas and homes at the low economic level, is that there is a shortage of books in the home. Some kids have no books in their home in order for them to be able to practice, especially, and then some kids in both urban and rural areas live in what we have come to know as book deserts. So our theory of the case here is to try to help to provide to those kids, especially those striving readers. And in the case of Minnesota, your striving reader population is somewhere just slightly less than 50% of your total population of kids in elementary school. And so our theory is to try to support those kids who are striving readers with the ability to create home libraries where they can go home, have books that are available to them that they are interested in reading, that can enable them to get that 20 minutes a day of practice. And so our program would provide the books. It's a pilot, as you heard, in this first year. We would start with pre-K and kindergarten. Our pilot size would be about 30,000 students. In our proposal, the cost of that would be about $3 million. And the theory is that we would look to see if we're able to see the same kind of progress for kids in Minnesota with support in creating home libraries that we see in other states. In Florida, as an example, where they have a similar program that's been in place for 5 years, they have 1 million kids eligible for their program. That's how much bigger scale in terms of population. But the kids in the program to date over the 5 years have been reducing the gap in their reading performance at a 50% faster clip than kids not in the program. And reading research over the years has really proven that home libraries have a significant impact on kids' ability to become proficient readers. So that's our theory of the case, is that we run a pilot over the next year focused on 30,000 kids in kindergarten, help them begin to build those home libraries that will enable them, allow them that practice time at home. The program would include supports for families and ensure that families have the ability to understand how they can support this effort. And also, we think it would encourage and support more family engagement broadly across the school curriculum and school goals. So that's essentially what we're proposing to do here in this pilot. If the pilot is as successful as we believe it will be, then we would come back and ask for the opportunity to expand it up through 5th grade.
Thank you. Next up, Aaron Martin and Elena Kneifel, and identify yourselves for the record and begin.
Great. Thank you, Aaron Martin. I'm the Director of Policy at Youth Prize. Chair and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity today to speak with you in support of Senate File 2540. I'm here representing Youth Prize, which is a statewide intermediary dedicated to increasing equity with and for Minnesota's Indigenous, low-income, and racially diverse youth. Youth Prize supports this bill because we believe that access to quality education beyond the classroom is a fundamental right for our young people. Our learning and leadership function focuses specifically on building academic and social emotional skills, while our health and safety and economic opportunity pillars ensure youth have the stability and resources necessary to focus on their studies. This is a natural extension of that mission. So by providing monthly culturally relevant books to students in kindergarten who are reading below grade level, this bill can directly address that opportunity gap that Youth Prize was founded to close. It empowers families to provide them with the tools necessary to build home libraries, which research shows is a key indicator of long-term academic success. While our work often centers on older young people at Youth Prize, a lot of the young people that we serve are across ages, and actually many of them are young parents themselves, many of whom don't have the financial resources necessary to build those home libraries on their own. So we see that this can also create some generational opportunities for the young people that we work with. And it offers them a concrete way to lead their children's education at home. Just as many of our other program supports help young families build financial assets from birth or support vital nutrition and food supports across the state, the Young Readers Club can help them build intellectual assets necessary to create a thriving future for their children. So with partners in every corner of the state, we're ready to support this bill in this effort to ensure every Minnesota child becomes a competent reader. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Elena Kniefel from the YMCA of the North, and I'm here today to speak in strong support of SF 2540, the Minnesota Young Readers Club program. At the YMCA, we see every day that literacy is about more than school performance. It's about families. When a child brings a book home, something powerful happens. The book doesn't just sit on a shelf. It gets read at the kitchen table. It gets shared between siblings. It becomes part of a bedtime routine. It becomes a moment of connection between a parent and a child. For many families, especially those facing financial barriers, building a home library simply isn't possible. Yet research consistently shows when the presence of books in the home is one of the strongest predictors of academic success. When children own books that they can hold, revisit, and call their own, they read more frequently and with greater confidence. And when families have access to guidance and culturally relevant materials, they feel empowered to support their children's learning, even if English isn't their first language, or even if they have struggled with reading themselves. SF 2540 recognizes that literacy doesn't end when the school bell rings. By providing monthly, age-appropriate books to students reading below grade level, this program helps transform homes into learning spaces. It gives families the tools to grow together. It builds readers and relationships. At its heart, this bill is about opportunity. It says to families across Minnesota, you matter. Your home matters, and your child deserves the joy and power of reading. And for those reasons, the YMCA strongly urges you to support SF 2540. Thank you.
Thank you, all three of you, the testifiers. Members, any comments or questions? Okay. Thank you, Senator Rarick, for bringing this bill forward. I think through a lot of efforts by a lot of senators, including a couple of senators on this committee, the READ Act, with all the iterations, is that the right word? And all the, it's about the science of reading. And one of you just testified on the beauty of the art of reading. And so I appreciate that this bill is going to encourage the art, the joy, whatever, and alongside with the science of reading through the READ Act, and we can get those smiles on little kids' faces as they learn to say words they only heard their parents say, and now they can see them in print. And so this testimony today was music to my ears. And I just want to, what I envisioned during your testimony, Home Depot or Menards jumping on this bandwagon and providing families with a free bookshelf if they participate in this program or successfully have too many books and they need a bookshelf, and that our business community might help out with that. And so, Senator Rarick, any closing remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity. There is nothing more I can say that the testifiers haven't said.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Okay, Senator Senator May Quaid renews her motion that Senate File 2540 as amended be recommended to pass and refer to the Committee on Education, Finance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, this bill as amended is moving on to the Committee on Education, Finance. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sorry. Next, we will hear Senate File 3685. Senator Kunesh, welcome to the welcome as a welcome. Are you going to stay there? No. Oh, welcome to the committee. Today, the intention is to send Senate File 3685 to the Committee on State and Local Government. Excuse me. Senator Kunesh, would you like to make a motion for Senate File 3685 be recommended to pass and referred to the Committee on State and Local Government?
So moved.
Thank you. Senator Kunesh, to your bill.
All right. Members, this is the second stop for this bill. It was passed unanimously through education policy, education, nope. Which one was it? Nope. Yeah, so this is the first time you're hearing it here, but it has had a positive hearing. So as you know, I was a library media specialist, and so this is really an issue that I faced back in the days when I was still teaching and exists to this day. We know that our Minnesota libraries are facing increasing and unsustainable challenges in providing ebooks and digital audio books to the public. It's very expensive to provide those online novels and books to our students electronically, and so this bill will modify that. Under the current licensing models, libraries are required to lease and not own digital material, and they pay 4 to 5 times what consumers would pay for that same title. These licenses often expire after 2 years or just 26 checkouts, and that forces libraries to repurchase that same book repeatedly at very high cost. Since ebooks can't be shared through interlibrary loans, communities, and especially the small rural ones that really rely on the ability to share books between their libraries, lose access to materials their local libraries can't afford. School libraries are hit especially hard. Only 54% of Minnesota schools have a licensed library media specialist authorized to make purchases, and the median school library budget is just $5,000, and that's for all the students. These schools often depend on public library digital collections, which are themselves very strained. The result is reduced access for Minnesotans, including readers with visual impairment, students with IEP or 504 plans, and anyone who relies on digital formats. Taxpayers ultimately shoulder the high long-term costs as libraries repeatedly have to relicense the same materials instead of owning them. This legislation protects taxpayer dollars, it restores local control, and it ensures Minnesotans can access digital material fairly and sustainably. And with that, I believe we have some testifiers.
We have 3. Sarah Hawkins and Leah Stanky, if you could make it to the front. And then we have 3 remote. They'll be speaking after. Begin whenever you're ready. Identify yourself for the record, and welcome to the committee.
We might need some technical help here.
Yep. Is this your first time? Yes. There we go. I can change that to this way. Go this way. Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Sarah Hawkins. I am the Assistant Director at Anoka County Library. I'm also the Legislative Chair of the Minnesota Library Association, representing libraries all over the state, school, public, academic, and special libraries. My goal today is to provide an overview of the current challenges, although Senator Kunesh did a pretty good job herself, surrounding ebook purchasing in Minnesota and outline our proposed legislative approach in Senate File 3685. Under current publisher licensing models, libraries are required to pay significantly higher prices for digital copies than for physical books, often several times more. These inflated costs are driven by restrictive contract terms that limit how libraries can purchase, use, and lend ebooks. As a result, library budgets are strained, and Minnesotans face reduced access to the digital materials they rely on for reading, learning, and research. This pricing model has been unsustainable for more than a decade and has been identified as a priority for the Minnesota Library Association. Connecticut recently enacted a law addressing ebook licensing by requiring more equitable contract terms for libraries. For that law to take effect, at least one or more states with a combined population of 7 million or more must pass similar legislation. Thanks to Senator Kunesh, Senate File 3685 is that similar legislation aimed at adjusting ebook licensing contract language to ensure fair, sustainable access to digital collections for all Minnesotans. So the current state, some context. Public libraries usually lease ebooks and digital audiobooks through a vendor. We do not lease directly from publishers. Our ebooks and audiobooks are licensed, not bought. That means we get fewer rights and more restrictions. Libraries often pay 4 to 5 times what a consumer pays for the same ebook. And I'll discuss pricing more in a moment. The digital licenses basically means we're renting the content. We do not own the titles. These titles typically have an expiration date. As Senator Kunesh said, commonly it's 2 years or 26 checkouts. After one of these conditions is met, the title disappears and the library must repurchase it. And renewing an item counts as a checkout. In contrast, for print materials, libraries own the items. We can remove them from the collection when we want, based on our own policies. Libraries generally, for example, review print materials for condition, how grubby those books are, at between 40 and 70 checkouts. Sometimes we have items in our collection that have circulated 200 times or more, and that often takes far longer than 2 years to achieve. Again, I have print books in our collection that are 10 years old or more. So here's an example of just one title, Consumer Price versus Library Price for Kristen Hanna's The Women, a super popular novel. The ebook and e-audiobook pricing is much higher than the consumer market, as you can see here. And then some summary data. This data is from Reader's First Publisher Price Watch. You can see that the estimated average cost per title for the library is much higher than the retail market. We pay about 3 times more per copy. The same study showed that library ebook pricing increased at a much more rapid rate than retail from 2022 to 2025. And at the same time, library e-audio pricing increased 3.6%, yet retail market decreased nearly 4%. So going in opposite directions there. In addition to pricing pressures, there are a couple of other important issues that are common in ebook licenses, which legislation would help address. Ebooks generally cannot be loaned between libraries, unlike physical materials, which limits our patrons' access to the materials that their specific library is able to acquire. Given the pricing trends I just talked about, we know libraries can afford fewer titles and thus have smaller collections available. Additionally, vendors often require libraries to sign non-disclosure agreements, which limit our discussions, awareness, and advocacy about ebooks. They perpetuate inequitable pricing practices, and they keep libraries stuck in the status quo. I also want to highlight the unique challenges that K-12 school libraries face. They are often unable to lease their own ebooks. because in Minnesota, a licensed librarian needs to complete purchases for a school library per state teacher licensing rules, and only 54% of Minnesota schools have a licensed media specialist. Additionally, the median school library media center budget is only $5,000. Giving the pricing we've discussed, a $5,000 budget doesn't go far. And I know one of our testifiers later, Emily, will share a little bit of that impact for her schools. So it's probably pretty obvious at this point that these issues are problematic for libraries, but I wanted to highlight some of the negative effects they cause in terms of access, accessibility, and fiscal responsibility for our communities. Both the high price points for ebooks and the inability to share them between libraries keeps ebooks out of the reach of residents in many communities. School libraries are impacted by the high cost of public library collections because they often cannot afford to build their own collections and rely on access through their public library. Accessibility, digital audiobooks and ebooks are vital for those with visual or reading impairments. When libraries cannot access ebooks, they can't fulfill their mission to serve all of their patrons. With fair terms and pricing, more school libraries would be able to purchase the ebooks that are beneficial to all students, including those on an IEP or 504 plan, which are used to give accommodations to students. And then last, there's the issue of fiscal responsibility, which is ultimately a responsibility to taxpayers. The fact that libraries are forced to pay high prices and repeatedly lease the same titles means they are costing taxpayers a significant amount of money over a title's life, and means a robust ebook collection is out of reach for many libraries. With limited dollars, libraries are constrained from better serving their patrons' needs, including meeting the demands for bestsellers and building the depth and breadth of their collections. An example, in the Twin Cities, we are the highest circulating consortium worldwide. The 7-county metro and the city of St. Paul, with our regional library, MELSA, are the highest circulating consortium worldwide. We had 13.98 million checkouts in 2025. We spent $6.5 million in 2025 investing in that collection, yet the unmet need of that collection is over 21 million. Libraries don't want to spend less money. We want to get more value for what we are already spending. So how do we solve this problem? Connecticut recently adopted a practical legislative approach. Instead of trying to regulate publishers directly, which has been previously overturned in federal court on copyright case, this is not a copyright case issue. Connecticut used contract law to set basic rules for what publicly funded libraries can and cannot agree to. This focuses on what libraries control, how we spend our taxpayer dollars, and has proven more effective than past federal attempts. So the Connecticut law stops libraries from signing agreements that block them from lending ebooks, including through interlibrary loan, prevents limits that reduce how many times or how long a library can lend a digital item, ensures libraries can buy multiple copies of a title on a title's release date rather than being delayed by publisher embargoes. It prohibits non-disclosure agreements that keep libraries from sharing contract terms with each other. It protects patron privacy by banning any terms that require libraries to violate confidentiality laws. It requires that if a license has a time limit, libraries must also have options like pay-per-use or perpetual access. Overall, contract terms must be fair and reasonable for a library's mission. This approach gives the libraries the ability to manage our collections responsibly, protect taxpayer dollars, and ensure broad access for our communities without over-regulating the publishing industry. So, again, thanks to Senator Kunesh, you have before you Senate File 3685. The one distinction from Connecticut law is with regards to scope. So Connecticut law applies to any library that receives state funding, including grants. Minnesota, our legislation is narrower in scope. It's only applying to public and K-12 school libraries. So we have not included academic libraries in our scope here in Minnesota. Again, the intent of this legislation is not to regulate the publishing industry. It is to protect taxpayer dollars, promote fiscal responsibility, restore local control and preservation of our resources, and ensure access to Minnesota's library collections. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, and I'm assuming you'll stick around in case somebody has questions about the what we just. First, we'll hear from the other testifiers. Begin.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Leah Stanky, and I'm currently a sophomore at St. Anthony Village High School. I'm so glad to be here speaking to you in support of Bill SF 3685 for equitable ebook access. I use ebooks and e-audiobooks all the time. In my free time, I enjoy listening to audiobooks, often while working on another task, such as folding laundry or cleaning my room, or even on a walk. It allows me to focus on one job and enjoy listening to an interesting story at the same time. I've also found them to be an incredible tool for schoolwork. I know that I and most other high schoolers like me have very busy lives with sports, clubs, friends, and schoolwork. It can get hard to manage it all. Ebooks actually help me with this. I have one specific memory where I was on the bus ride home from ski practice, wishing I could start on my schoolwork, but not having my backpack on me. I was able to check the Libby app and find the book that I was reading in English class, and find the chapter I was in and read it way more conveniently. Now, whenever I'm assigned to a book to read, I always check the Libby app right away, so I know I'm ready to get my schoolwork done whenever. Most libraries, however, are struggling with very high prices for these, which leads to overly long wait times for the most popular titles, the ones you want to read most, and not having room in the collection for a full series or even sequels to some books. Ebooks and e-audio are incredible, convenient resources for so many reasons, and I feel it is extremely important for all people to have access to these amazing materials. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you will support SF 3685.
Thank you. Next up are three remote presenters. Ashal Demeshia, followed by Emily Lundberg, followed by Aaron Smith. So begin when you're ready.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, and Senator Mann, who is my senator. My name is Ishal Demeshia. I am a 9th grade student at Edina High School, and I'm here to ask for your support of Senate File 3685. Ebooks and audiobooks are very important to me for multiple reasons. As someone who loves to read, it is very important to me to always have access to books. Ebooks and audiobooks are a very accessible format for me to read books. Oftentimes, I come to school without finding enough time to stop by the library and get a book before class starts. Going to a local library is also challenging for me due to distance and a tight schedule. Through ebooks, however, I can read a book without having to go in person to check one out. I also get a chance to choose the formatting of my book. Many ebooks have features that allow readers to modify the font and the page color, along with highlighting and adding notes. As a reader, I have more freedom to annotate my book and not ruin a copy for another person. Because of school resources such as ebooks and audiobooks, I am able to read books stress-free and save precious time and money. Please support Senate File 3685 to support ebook access through libraries. Thank you.
Thank you. Emily?
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Emily Lundberg, and I'm a licensed school library media specialist and co-president-elect of the Information Technology Educators of Minnesota, the state school library organization. I'm here today to urge your support of Senate File 3685. As a school library media specialist, we carefully steward our limited budgets while providing access to engaging and relevant library materials for our students. We are intentional about providing resources in multiple formats, including print books, ebooks, and audiobooks. However, the current pricing structure of e-materials is prohibitive. While we utilize statewide collections like eLibrary Minnesota and public library partnerships to stretch our budgets, they cannot meet student demand and needs. To fill the gaps, many school library media specialists also purchase digital licenses for our school collections, but the markup is staggering, especially for small school budgets. For example, my book budget is $7.75 per student, which is higher than that of many Minnesota districts. Using Sarah's numbers from earlier in the presentation, it would take the money allocated for 2 students to purchase a physical book, but 8 students allocation to purchase an ebook or audiobook that would then have limited checkouts. When faced with this fiscal decision, many school library media specialists are unable to justify purchasing many of their own e-resources. E-materials are not just a convenience. As school librarians, we support literacy and the science of reading by providing a wealth of engaging, relevant reading materials, and offering books in multiple formats is part of that support. Ebooks and audiobooks allow us to be responsive to student requests and provide materials that students can access from anywhere and even outside of school hours and during the summer. E-resources are also vital tools for accessibility. Features like adjustable font sizes and open dyslexic fonts support diverse learners. Access to audio versions of text is a common accommodation in IEPs, but providing these resources is becoming increasingly difficult to fund. Vendors often only offer 1- and 2-year subscriptions or 26 checkouts with few to no options to purchase perpetual licenses. This makes it difficult for curriculum departments to plan for IEP support because they don't have an annual budget. SF 3685 promotes fair pricing, allowing us to be better stewards of taxpayer money while ensuring students have the equitable access they deserve. Please support our students by moving SF 3685 forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And one more testifier remotely before we open it up for questions and comments. Aaron Smith.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Aaron Smith, and I serve as the director of the Viking Library System. Viking Library System provides public library services to 6 counties in west central Minnesota and to 11 member libraries. Thank you for having me here today to share how Senate File 3685 will benefit libraries and residents in the Viking Library System region. Due to the nature of digital library materials being leased and not owned, digital material must be repurchased much more frequently and at a higher cost than physical material, straining the budgets of small rural libraries the most. The demand for digital library books and audiobooks continues to increase exponentially. In the Viking Library System region, the checkout of digital materials increased by 50% between 2021 and 2025. Yet, Viking Library System cardholders also continue to check out physical books and DVDs and other items. Over the past 5 years, total annual checkouts of physical items have fluctuated narrowly between 755,000 and 785,000 items system-wide. This means libraries must continue maintaining and adding to their physical collections while also trying to meet demand for digital material. And digital items cannot be shared between library systems in the same way as physical items. The inability to share digital items across libraries limits access to material for rural Minnesotans. Rural Minnesotans can have a physical book belonging to a metro library delivered to their home library through MinLink. Yet they are unable to access the library's digital resources in the same way. This puts rural Minnesotans at a disadvantage when it comes to information access. The vision of Viking Library System is to provide local access to the world. Senate File 3685 will give Minnesota libraries and residents a meaningful seat at the table with vendors, so Viking Library System can continue to meet that vision far into the future. I ask for your support for Senate File 3685, and thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, testifiers. Members, any questions or comments? Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Before I ask some of my questions, is the intent to lay this over or to move it to somewhere?
It's going to state and local.
Okay, thank you. So I'll kind of tailor my comments to that then. First off, thank you so much for the presentation. I think it's very interesting information. And I'm just going to say for the good of the conversation as it relates to this issue, how it's been presented, I would love to learn a lot more about this particular issue and this proposed solution to it in particular, I'd like to hear more from counties, more from school districts, more from copyright experts, and more from publishers or providers of this content and of this material, just to have a holistic conversation and awareness of what it is that we're talking about, maybe what some of the second and third order effects would be if this were to pass, and how that might actually impact the inventory or the catalog of digital content and its availability to Minnesotans, whether that be at our county libraries or in school buildings. It seems to me that the issue is really with the business model or with what is currently common practice. And local control was mentioned a few times for good reason. It's very important, which is why I'd like to learn more, because the bill seeks to prohibit libraries from entering into certain contracts, which seems to be in contradiction to providing them maximum local control or maximum decision-making ability at their level. While they might be able to use some help in contract negotiations and doing some things that might make some sense, like being able to maybe transfer stuff among libraries or a network of libraries, I'm not quite sure that a heavy-handed approach to prohibiting what is essentially the business model as it exists today, number one, is doable, or number two, wouldn't actually lead to them just not providing content to our libraries and thereby to students or to Minnesotans. Really what we're talking about, digital versus physical inventory, is also sort of something that libraries can themselves determine and manage to meet the needs of their folks. All that to say, you piqued my interest. I think it's a worthwhile conversation to have. I think we owe it to ourselves and to the state to find out more before we actually pass something like this into law or continue to move it and have it make progress. Obviously appreciate everything that you all do. Libraries are extremely important. Back in the day, going and just getting a physical book has changed. Now all the digital stuff, being able to just use an app on the bus to access your book is pretty amazing. And so worthwhile conversation. Maybe there's an approach that's a happy medium, or one that's more realistic in terms of how this market actually operates and how this content is being delivered to not just libraries, but sort of in general. That's all I've got, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Anybody else? Excuse me. Oh, Senator May, quick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Kunesh, for bringing this bill. When we heard the topic in education finance, I was so excited I signed on to your bill. And I apologize if it was mentioned earlier, but am I getting the stat correctly that the Metro library system is the #1 lender of ebooks in the world? Would you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we are the largest consortium, meaning group of libraries that come together. So there are a few other libraries worldwide that lend more than us total. I believe Toronto lends a little bit more than us, and one other library. But we are the highest group of libraries when they come together, and that's 13.98 million last year. This consortium has only existed sharing in this collection since 2020, and we have been the highest circulating digital consortium every year that we've existed. Every year we hit a new million checkout threshold. So we expect, that our rates are going to continue to grow, that next year will be in that 14 million range. As I said, we invested $6.5 million in this collection in our collection last year. The need is still $21 million that we can't afford to spend. We have right now, and people are waiting an average of 55 days for their materials. Which means that, people who are waiting for a book club or who are waiting to read a book for a class, sometimes that class or that book club or that event has come and gone long before the time that they're able to get access to that material.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And you took the next question right out of my mouth. What's the average wait time? But 55 days, I'm looking at these letters, this letter from the News Media Alliance, that they said it's a blunt instrument to a non-existent problem, but I think 55 days of waiting for an ebook that is also costing the Minnesota taxpayers more than double what it would cost us if we were buying them individually. That's a problem for me. The last question I want to ask is about constitutionality. So Is it constitutional, legal for the state of Minnesota to direct the kinds of contracts that libraries are able to enter into?
Yeah, so my understanding is that calling this a copyright law is misleading, that this is it is a firmly rooted in state consumer protection law, and that it's, we are not regulating what the publishers and the authors can do. The goal would be to regulate the contract law of what the state can invest its money in.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think it's important to note that, because I think in reading this letter, it almost it makes it sound like our law is bill is modeled after different states, but it's not. It's modeled after, I think, Connecticut, which hasn't been challenged in the courts because it is firmly regulating what is happening with taxpayer dollars in public libraries. So I thank you for bringing this bill. It's one of those things where you hear about a problem and you're like, I didn't even, you experience it a little bit. You're like, why am I waiting so long for this book? And then you find out what's really behind it. And I appreciate the really good solution here. So thank you, Senator Kunesh.
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. And just briefly, I didn't go down the constitutionality issue just because I figured maybe that would be a conversation at another committee stop. But to be fair, I don't think any of the folks that testified today would be folks that we would probably expect to come and actually speak to with some authority in regard to any potential constitutionality issues with the bill. Respect the expertise that's here today, but I don't. Is anybody an attorney up there? Maybe you are. I don't know. Maybe a future attorney. But that would probably be a wise discussion to have if we're going to give. What's that? Do we ask them that question? I mean, I'm not going to. Feel free to do so. But I think that's a more in-depth conversation that probably should be had. I won't put you on the spot because you maybe weren't prepared for it. But I think there's a conversation that needs to be had in regard to that as well, if again, if we're going to give it some serious consideration. The other thing I would say is when I hear you talk about the consortium that exists, to me, what I hear is negotiating power and leverage. And so my suggestion to you would be, if you are spending $21 million or in excess of that in this one example across however many organizations, and you're the #1 consortium in the world, it sounds to me like you should be able to utilize some of that in the negotiations. Now, I know it's obviously easier said than done, and I'm sure you guys negotiate as hard as you possibly can. But again, I think that is a more realistic route in terms of what's actually feasible and doable, unless there's maybe some modifications to the law as it's proposed. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Senator Abler,
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, and I'm sorry I had to step out, so I might have missed. If I repeat something, you can tell me that. But so I just was surprised there's no opposition testifiers, because I was met with publishers came and talked to me, and they're very uncomfortable with this, extremely uncomfortable. And I don't know this topic very well. I do not. I was never a librarian, although I've gone to many libraries. But and they have people have reasons to testify or not to testify. But you know, if this is and to the chair and to the two education chairs that are here and the rest of the members of the majority who are working on stuff, just understanding the lay of the land, if we're trying to get something to become law, it would make sense to deflect as much of the opposition as possible and get things worked out in the Senate in kind of a bipartisan manner that actually has a chance to go into the House and experience success. But I just, I mean, I know what I mean, unless we're making bills that are statements of what we wish could be, I'm not sure if that's a prudent thing, and I don't know why they didn't testify, and that's on them, not on me. But this is very controversial, and there is concern that actually unintended harm could happen to the very groups you want to help. And so I can't even describe it very well. They stopped and talked to me, and I kind of got the point that it's not quite ready for prime time. And so in the world, in this topic area in particular, where we have really, you know, this is would be nice to have all this flexibility if we could get it for the schools, and I am not opposed to flexibility and whatever the goal of the bill is. But when you step on another, like when there's the entity that's providing this is like not on board, it makes it harder. But on a grander level, we are in the middle of one of the most challenging times in the educational arena now, when a larger number than any of our students cannot read and do math at grade level. We have districts as large as mine, which would have the ability to weather some of these storms, reducing $30 million and cutting staff at every turn for some of the things that we've had to do. And I hope that when the dust settles, that we can have some kind of efforts at helping that. And so I have some pieces I put in. I don't know if we're going to hear those. I've had things in the past. But it's, as I talked to the Pelsby board, like, what are we doing? And so just to Senator Kunesh, I mean, it's your bill. You do what you want. But I would hope you to be successful, at least in some way. And that's my thought. You can react if you want, or you don't have to.
Comment, Senator?
Sure. You know, of course, the publishers had every opportunity to be here. They spoke at the hearing that we had in Education Finance. And I spoke to, no, maybe they didn't testify. No, they didn't testify, but I did have a conversation, a Zoom conversation with one publisher, and they were not able to articulate a very good argument against this other than it was going to affect their bottom line. And that's kind of one of the things that we're addressing here is good use of our taxpayer dollars in providing the services and the resources to our communities. And even when I made some very specific questions to this publisher, they were not able to give me, you know, a comprehensive response at all. So yes, they could be here. I'd be curious to hear what you think on some of these unexpected consequences might be, and perhaps they've shared that with you, but I have not heard that from the publishers yet. And, you know, this is not a partisan bill. I have both GOP and DFL members on this bill who recognize that our responsibility is to our communities and the taxpayers, and making sure that when these companies are negotiating with public entities like libraries and schools, that the schools are on an even, and the public libraries are on an even playing field. Non-disclosure agreements, I can't agree to that. The exorbitant prices, I understand, again, that it will affect their bottom line. And the fact that they're not here, and perhaps they'll join us in State Gov, but I think this is really almost like a whistleblower bill, you know? They've got us over the pit. If we don't pay these prices, they probably would say, no, we won't provide those services. And we just want to make sure that we're evening the playing field.
Senator Wiesenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess hearing conversations, I have a question. So let's say the libraries purchase ebook online. So then what you want is, it sounds like the library would have the ability to share that ebook and rent it out to whomever. Now, if you have an ebook, would that be rented out to one person at a time, or could it be an unlimited amount of people at the same time?
Almost all of our licensing is one-to-one. We're purchasing licensing on a one-to-one basis, letting one person have access to it. It gets returned. It moves on to the next person.
Thank you. So that's a good question that is in my head that I was thinking about. So as you were testifying, and I don't know if this is true or not, but you know, I'm looking at ebooks and everything on our phones, and we can print things off and we can copy things and share them. So that might be an unintended consequence that gets passed on to the schools, is people are buying ebooks and they're sharing the material, so the producer isn't making the profit. Obviously, if someone writes something they want to make some kind of profit, right? I'm not just going to work for free. So that might be a thing that's happening. They're raising their prices because their materials are getting shared for free. So it might be an unintended consequence that the school knows to pay more, but I just see that maybe that's happening. Obviously, we want kids to be able to have access to good materials, but reading through, you know, some of the people that are opposed to this, I have more questions than answers. And well, I think the intent is good. I mean, I'm not going to be able to support this at this time, but I've got more questions that need to be answered that maybe we can't answer today. So thank you.
Senator Abler?
Can I just respond to that? Sure. So you have to realize that printing, if you don't have permission to print through copyright rules, that is totally illegal. And anybody that did that, whether they were a school or a library, could get into a world of hurt and, you know, legally. So as a plug to professional library people and licensed library media specialists, that is part of our training and the understanding. It's also our responsibility to let the teachers and other employees know about copyright laws. So if somebody is doing that, we ethically and professionally know that that is against the law. So if that is happening, but Senator, if you have more questions, I'd love it if you came and talked to me and helped me understand where your questions are.
Thank you. Senator Abler, did you have another?
Well, just to continue the discussion. So it's not my bill, not my topic. I think philosophically would be way cool to have this kind of flexibility. I'm just trying to, I've been here 27 years, and I've seen many great ideas get sandbagged by some people that never even, you know, I always try to figure out what are my opponents about? How can I clean up the bill? How can I find a way? Yep. And I can't always succeed, and then the bill is defeated for a whole lot of reasons sometimes. I'm just surprised that they didn't come say that out loud to us, as they said to me, and that's their strategy. But very often the strategy is they know it's not going anywhere in the other body, and so then we have our time here, and we're hopeful, and the good things we hope for don't happen. And that's my frustration. And so I hope that the publishers come talk to you, and I hope that there's time on your calendar to entertain that. And I'm sure there would have been, and I don't even know what their plan is, and maybe I'm screwing it all up by saying this, but there's just too much at stake. The school budgets are too tight. There's not enough resources. There's not enough librarians to go around. There's not enough anything to go around anymore. And these students, like I mentioned to the Pellsby board, they only get one bite at this apple. And once they're done, they're done. And if this is a way to make it work better, then I'll be happy to support that. That's my whatever I said, I'm just trying to help good things happen here. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And I don't know where you're bringing Pellsby in on this. This really doesn't have anything to do with Pellsby.
Sure. That was my comment to when they came here and they ruined the Teachers of Color thing, and they made it harder, and so just.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
I mean, sometimes kids need someone they can relate to, and we have less of those. But all these things, they do blend together in helping a student retain. Maybe they love some kind of book they can't get. I don't know. So thank you.
Senator Duckworth.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I promise I'll be brief. Senator Kunesh, you mentioned that it is a bipartisan bill, which is why I think you're getting constructive, good faith feedback as much as you are, because it's a good topic, it's an interesting idea, and we're trying to help figure out what is the best approach, best path possible. Just a couple of things from the conversation earlier. You know, copyright, making copies came up earlier. One of the things that the bill would prohibit is it would prohibit a library from entering into a contract that prohibits the library from making non-public preservation copies of any electronic literary material. Now, I'm no copyright law expert by any means, but that to me would probably trigger a red flag from those that are providing the content, and I would imagine it's pretty standard in their contracts to have a clause like that. So to your point earlier when you talked about unintended consequences, I think you guessed at what is the most likely one, which would be they're just not going to sell you the content anymore. Good for you, you're a pretty large market here locally, so that's, you can call their bluff on that potentially. But to be fair, I think that is maybe the main concern. Okay, well, you've made the contract so unattractive that we can't do business with you or in Minnesota anymore with these libraries. And that's really the main concern here. Taxpayer dollars and you know, making sure that we're being good stewards of those. You're not going to hear any argument from us on that. Local control, we obviously support that, making sure that all of our students and residents have access to great learning materials. We're all on board with that. So just really looking at the law, having some of those conversations, understanding the second and third order effects, I think is going to be critical. I think you all make a compelling case to say, hey, you know, we want to throw our weight around a little bit in terms of the budget and the dollars we spend on this content. We want you to bend to our terms a little bit more than maybe you have. But trying to do it legislatively, maybe a little bit heavy-handedly, might be a little bit counterproductive. That's really all I've got to say. I'm a notorious Audible. Like, I click and download books because I've got credits, and they tell me your credits are about to expire, and then by the time I get around to going back to listen to the book, they're like, it's no longer available. Right. So I hear you. I get just as frustrated, but rather than not have some of that content be available to people, I'd rather see us find a way forward that is more practicable and workable. Thank you.
Okay, before your closing remarks, I just want to, I have a question and two quick comments. Thank you for the student testifiers. Both of you said the exact same words, how grateful you are to, quote unquote, always have access to books. And both student testifiers said that, and all the adult testifiers used the phrase save taxpayer dollars. So between those two statements, I think, thank you for bringing this bill forward. It'd be helpful in the future, Ms. Hawkins, if you'd put the page numbers on your PowerPoints or slide decks. But on one of the pages, you just said, you mentioned only 54% of Minnesota schools have a licensed library media specialist qualified to purchase. If that is a topic for another day, I think that statistic's pretty not okay. It's pretty egregious. So if that's a topic for another day, please reach out to Senator Kunesh or I. Senator Kunesh, any closing remarks?
Just thank you for a really good conversation. This is the first time that we've introduced this bill to the legislature, and I think part of the process of going through all these committee stops is hearing the different ideas, suggestions, concerns, what if this, what's going to happen next. And so for me, I really appreciate hearing your comments and your concerns, and definitely, you know, you've given me a whole list of things for me to go back and either refresh my memory on or learn more about. But I really appreciate the conversation and look forward to moving this along so that we can have more.
Thank you, Senator Kunesh. With that, Senator Kunesh renews her motion that Senate File 3685 be recommended to pass and referred to the Committee on State and Local Governments. All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed say none. The bill has been moved to the Committee on State and Local Government.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a presentation from the Minnesota School Board of Administrators.
Mr. Chair.
Karen Schaub, if you're here, can you make your way up? Senator Abler?
Well, can I just, while they're coming, I didn't vote on that bill. I really don't know enough about it to be informed. And I just want to comment that on a bill like this, there's two letters here. The purpose of a committee is to discuss things. The only way we can discuss things is if the opponents come down and let us discuss it. And it's not our job to defend opponents of a bill. They came and chatted with me, submitted a letter, and now this is off of our plate, and it's going to go behind the scenes. Not just this particular group, but it's helpful if opponents come to make the committee process actually be a committee process. And so it's relevant. We are not people just to be with all proponents of any particular project. And so if it's the school boards, if it's some group, they're, oh, I don't want to make them mad. It's just better to have that dialogue, Mr. Chair. So I just thank you for that moment.
Senator, begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Karen Schaub. I am the Executive Director for the Board of School Administrators. I've been in this position about 4 years now. I am a retired educator and thought I was going to go do something else and found myself back here working in education. And I have one of our board members with us today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Christine Tucci Osorio, and I'm the superintendent for School District 622, which is North St. Paul, Maplewood, Oakdale. As Karen mentioned, I am a board member on the Board of School Administrators, and I just wanted to give you a quick overview. Our board is appointed by the governor, and it's a volunteer board, not a paid board, of course. It consists of a group of different members. I am the representative for the superintendent group. There's an elementary principal, a secondary principal, a special education director, a director of community education, a school board member, 2 university representatives, and 1 public member. Our board of school administrators, you've got a handout in front of you that gives you a little bit of background. This is a group that was created by the legislature in 2001. And there's a key purpose to establish and maintain high standards for the quality administrator licensing system for Minnesota Public Schools, and to ensure that the highest quality administrators serve the needs of Minnesota citizens. In Minnesota, there are 4 administrative licenses that are required in schools. A superintendent must be licensed as a school superintendent. A K-12 principal must have an administrative license. A director of special education must have a license, and a director of community education. Those are the 4 areas that require an administrative license in the state of Minnesota. And so our board does a lot. You're going to hear a little bit about that, and we're going to walk through some of the important work of the Board of School Administrators, but I want to just make it very clear. There's many layers to it. You're going to hear a little bit from our Executive Director, Karen Schaub, about that. One thing to know is that our work has great implications for the state of Minnesota. In an era where we're trying to make sure that people are compliant with laws and ethics and requirements, when you think just about accountability, there's a lot that happens in school districts. Many decisions are made every day. And having high quality people who are licensed, appropriately licensed, we're going to hear a little bit today about how huge that task has actually been and is becoming. But I think as we try to think about fraud prevention in Minnesota, compliance with laws and regulations, this work has been elevated to an even more important level.
Thank you. Today we're going to talk about some of the main areas that by law we are responsible for. When I was in school districts, I spent a lot of my time taking down silos, trying to find ways to work together. Coming to this position, it seems like the silos need to be there because they help us follow laws. So everything we do, and as I respond to phone calls, oftentimes I have to go back and look at the law, look at every word, look at where the commas were to make sure that we are following the expectation of this body. I'm going to start off by talking about ethics and discipline, which is certainly a piece of anyone's job sometimes. That's not the most fun that we do. In the beginning, when I started, we had maybe 10 public complaints that we were dealing with about 4 years ago. This last month, we had over 30. And the amount of time that each one of these complaints takes up a fair amount of time in really looking at it, understanding whether it falls under the code of ethics, figuring out whether it really is with something that we are responsible for doing or whether it falls somewhere else. When people get upset about something that happens in school, they can find in their mind any way to look at the code of ethics and say, yep, this administrator broke this law, broke that law. So it's changed a lot since we came back from COVID. The other piece that we look at is what's called a conduct review, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that. Every administrator, when you come to either get your license or renew your license, you have 12 questions that you have to answer. And if you answer any of them yes, it automatically is flagged and it goes to our ethics committee. Our ethics committee is made up of 3 members of our board. It is a meeting that we are not allowed to have any guests at. It's all confidential, and we usually, when I first started, we maybe met for 45 minutes to an hour. We are now meeting for over 2.5 hours to review the information that we have. So that has really grown a lot, and you might ask, like, what are people complaining about? They're complaining about whether they think someone is unlicensed, that a school district might have unlicensed teachers. Why is this administrator allowing it to happen? There are a fair amount of complaints about discipline. They do not like how the administrator disciplined their student. There are ways that school districts handle that, and that may not be one that would end up that we would open a case on. So there's a variety of different things that are happening, whether a school district bought some property illegally. I mean, the topics we have just continue to rise and go pretty deep in our conversations. So that is a committee that meets, and we do have a lawyer that sits with us from the AGO's office to just make sure that we are following our own procedures there, and is very helpful as I need to understand law sometimes a little bit better on whether this is something that we are involved with or not. And then we'll talk a little bit about licensing.
Sure, I can speak to that. I co-chair our licensing subcommittee, so I know a little more about that part of it. You know, as I mentioned, we have these 4 areas that we have to have licenses for. And when we process a licensing for administrators, once an administrator completes a university program that gives them that license, so an administrative license, one of the 4, they automatically, if they pass through that program, are allowed a 2-year, they're allowed an initial 2-year license. The 2-year license is issued to you whether you have an administrative job or not. If you don't get hired as an administrator, you'll have to keep renewing for 2-year licenses. Once you become a licensed working administrator in a role that requires a license, it's an every 5-year renewal process. And I will tell you that, so we do a lot of work with license renewals, obviously the CEUs that people have to earn to be able to get those accreditations, and we take that very seriously as well. We also have a variance process. Variances can happen when, for example, we tend to see it quite a bit in some rural communities sometimes where there's a posting for a community ed director and they don't get anyone who's licensed to be a community ed director. That's an area, by the way, we could use some more people in. If you're interested, young people, if you're interested in a field, community ed director is community education is a great place to go. But sometimes you have to interview and there's not anyone who's qualified, who's properly licensed. Then that school district will apply to our committee for consideration for a variance of a candidate who's not currently licensed. And we have a whole criteria of how we approve those variances. They have to be enrolled in a university program where they're going to work on getting that license, and multiple steps in that process. And we process about 40 of those per year. We also get out-of-state inquiries. As you know, licensing requirements are very different from one state to another. And so if a school district is looking to hire somebody who is coming from out of the state, sometimes we have to give them a provisional license, which sort of gives them their foot in the door if there's some coursework that they need to complete to qualify for a Minnesota administrative license. We approve a provisional license while they're enrolled in that program and working on those areas. And then you have some data in here. You can kind of see how many of those we processed. 125 out-of-state license inquiries from last year. That number is growing a lot. I'll tell you, our smaller towns that are right on the borders of our neighbors in Wisconsin, North and South Dakota, and Iowa often have lots of people crossing borders between states, but we also hire people from out of state for anywhere in our schools. So licensing, part of what we're getting at, and we want to just let you know the broad scope of all the things that we work on in our Board of School Administrators to kind of get the bigger picture of what happens, and we can get to our asks, so that we have a couple little things to ask of you today as well. So do you want to talk next, Karen, about?
Yeah, thank you. And on the back of our sheet actually tells you how many folks were licensed in each of our licensing areas, and that continues to grow up a little bit at a time. We did have a bigger jump right after COVID. I think when folks were at home, they were enrolled in a lot more programs. They thought this would be a good time to go after and get their administrative license. So we also deal with professional development, and that is the CEUs. So in Minnesota, to renew your license, you need 125 CEUs that have been approved already by BOSA to be able to renew your license every 5 years. If you've gone to a university program and you're advancing and taking a graduate course, those graduate courses do count towards your CEUs. Our CEUs are all focused on state law, so they're all focused on the competencies that are required to be an administrator in Minnesota. So if you are offering a program, it has to meet one of the competencies, and by law, it also has to be 3 hours or longer. And so we're well over 1,000. I think this year we might even get to about 1,500 compared to past years. We're really working hard to make sure those opportunities are available. We're also working hard to work with folks to make sure that there's some online training. If you're an assistant principal in a rural area, you may not have the opportunity to leave your building, even as a principal, as much as maybe in a bigger district where someone can step in and help you. So we do have some of those things going on. We also have worked really well with Pelsby, and you know there are 7 areas as a teacher that you need to cover, and most of our administrators keep their teacher's license. We have set up those 7 classes to have some additional work around those, so you can take that class and you can get BOSA credit, and you can also get the credit towards your teacher's license. So we're working wherever we can to really fine line things and make things easier for our administrators to follow law and to be involved. The other piece that many people don't realize what we do is we review every licensing program in Minnesota. So that is really 13 universities, 13 programs have one of the 4 licenses. Maybe they have 3 of the licenses, maybe they have 2 of the licenses, maybe they have 1 of the licenses. So every 5 years we bring in a team of individuals, and it's anywhere from 8 to 12. There's a licensed superintendent on it, a licensed principal, usually secondary, elementary, and it kind of depends on the group that we are. We bring in universities to sit on this committee. Since I took over doing this, it used to be 2.5 days. I've gotten it down to a day and a half. We can't expect current principals to leave their buildings for 2.5 days, plus travel, you know, depending on where we are, there could be travel. So we've worked to really fine tune that to get it down to a day and a half or 2 days. And usually just in our office alone, we probably spend 250 hours reviewing all the materials that come from the university. So usually, it used to be a notebook, and the notebook used to be this big that we would get. Now we're doing it all online. But they have to show us that they're following the competencies. They have to show us about the licensure of their professors there. They have to show us that in our competencies area, you know, talk about pre-K education that was put in not too long ago. They have to show us that they're covering that. They have to show us that they're covering EL. So they go, and then they have to show us that they're doing the internships, covering internships. Are they doing the appropriate amount of hours at each level? And are our new administrators getting the experiences they have? So at a university level, you have the 320 hours that you have to do in Minnesota as an internship. And sometimes it's easy to give some of these aspiring administrators lunchroom duty. Okay, well, lunchroom duty is not, you're not going to be able to give us 40 hours of lunchroom duty. That 40 hours is not going to cover a part of your 320 hours. You can put some there, but then they have to show us what did they learn and what was their role, because people attach evidence at times, and it's great evidence, but then I have to say, what did you do? How did you become a better administrator? What have you done there? So that is a piece that is important there. We also, law has allowed us to do a pathway to superintendency, which is outside of the normal way that most students come to us. And so there is a process that if you've not come to education through the normal process, you can come through. And oftentimes it's individuals, even individuals who have gone through a full program, but they were never a teacher for 3 years. So they're required to have a teacher's license for 3 years before they can move on to any of the administrative pieces, as well as being a superintendent. So we have this whole chart that they go through, and they have to prove the competencies. They have to send me a letter. They have to talk about some philosophies around how they believe superintendents work. And they go through this whole thing. And so they do sort of a panel, just like you would probably do if you were in a university program. And they have to prove the evidence that they understand what Minnesota laws are and attach evidence that's meaningful. Sometimes people go through and they attach things and it's like, okay, this is great. It does not tell me what you did. It does not tell me, did you write this thing for your school district that you're working in? Were you sitting on it? What did you do? And they're invited in, and we have 2 sitting superintendents on the panel. We have another person from another university on the panel, and we have a school board member on the panel, and they have to come in and present to themselves. And oftentimes it becomes a little difficult because they come in and we have to remind ourselves, this is entry level. We are approving entry level. So by the time they leave, we often have a list of things that we think they need to invest some more time in to be a great superintendent in the state of Minnesota. So we do have that option. It's only an option for superintendent position. There is not an alt pathway for principal position. One of the pieces you might be interested in, you might already know, is how we are funded. So when we came back in 2001, the discussion was we want an organization that understands the work of administration, that understands what it takes to be an administrator. That's why the different positions got put on there. And at that time, the legislature said, we can do this, we're going to do this, but there's going to be an annual fee. So every active administrator in the state of Minnesota pays the state $100 every year, and inactive or retirees pay $50 a year. It's been a struggle because we are a small office. When I came in, it was like, we're not collecting. I can tell we're not collecting the kind of funds we need to collect. So we've really focused on making sure administrators understand why they're paying the fee, because I do hear, like, what are you guys doing? You know, I heard from somebody the other day that was mad about something, and, you know, what are we paying for? And I'm going to tell our legislators that this is happening. And it's like, absolutely, you can say whatever you want, but this is the kind of work that we do. So our budget right now, which is set by the state, is $405,000. And this year we will probably be bringing in close to $500,000. And I think that's due to, one, being really clear, why are you paying? These are the kinds of things that BOSA supports you on. And 2, we've just been really straight with folks, because the law does say if you're a licensed administrator and you're not paying the fee, we can suspend your license. And as an attorney who works with us says, Karen, you can't pick and choose which laws. We have to have a process. So we do have a process. So I think we're really working hard to bring the most value we can to the administrators of Minnesota and supporting good leadership. Spend a lot of time going to conferences and talking to people to see what things that we can change.
Do you want to mention when you collect those fees, when we do collect those fees for licenses, where does that money go?
So the money goes back into the state.
So it doesn't come back to the BOSA group?
No, it doesn't. It goes into the state coffers, and I think that's the same for Pellsby. But coming from schoolwork, we got to spend the money that we brought in, right? If we had these fees and we did this is what we brought in. So I've been really clear to make sure that we are covering our costs as we move forward. So a couple of our asks or some things we want to bring up here before our time is over today is there is a Senate File 3625 that is put forward by Pellsby. Pellsby and BOSA have worked really hard in developing a relationship that is collaborative, that is working together for the best of education in Minnesota. At one point, the 2 relationship wasn't really strong, but it has been strong with their new director and myself being there. One of the things that we discovered is that we need to have a data sharing agreement with Pellsby. And where this becomes an issue for us, and one area I'll just talk about, is the STARS report. So the STARS report in Minnesota lists where every licensed administrator in the school district, what they're doing. And that makes sure that if you're licensed for this, you're teaching this. If you're licensed as administrator, you can do this. And so that report is really an important one. And at times I need to see that. I need to see what the school districts are saying before the report becomes public, so that I can see if someone has lied in a school district on something. So there might be someone who says, this person is not licensed, let's just say as a community ed director. I need to ask Pellsby, what does the report say? What did the school district tell us? And as we've been going through this, we have realized that that is private data until it becomes public. So it's a small piece in their particular bill that I hope you can support for us to be able to have that data sharing agreement. It costs nothing. We just would put it together so that we can get some of that data. Otherwise, I've had to tell people, I can't really act on this. You came to me in October. I can't act on it until February or March, until that materials become public. So it would be just really helpful for us to be able to share some information together. The other piece that we have been, we discovered, and we're moving forward to how can we make this change, and talking about rulemaking, it looks to us that BOSA does not have broad rulemaking authority, and so I have talked to your administrative assistant for us to verify that it would be helpful if we did. Then we could go in and change a few of these things that were not changed last time, even though they were supposed to be changed in law in 2020. Just some really little kinds of things. But the big thing that we're looking on is we're really working at BOSA with a modernization plan. When I came in, I really felt like we were sort of in the dark ages with technology, with keeping track of things, and so we have really worked hard so that anyone who comes in after me has all the data they have and it's available. And part of the modernization plan is, in law, Pellsby has a conduct review, procedures, and they have 12 items. For BOSA, when rulemaking was done in 2019, it was put in law 9 areas. Since we use some of the same databases, and since we collaborate together to have one conduct review form that's not costing us to have 2 different forms, putting 2 different things in the system, because Pellsby is redoing some of their systems, it is, I think, harder for administrators to have to fill out both forms, and I think it's more costly. And if I look at what Pellsby has right now, their 12 questions compared to our 9, they match almost identical. The one piece that I think is missing in ours, and maybe it's there if you read between the lines, it's really clear in Pellsby if there's been any maltreatment cases against you, that you have to say yes and you have to write it. In the 9 we have, that's not one of the questions. So I think the questions that are written for Pellsby could go for both administrators and for administrators and teachers, and you apply and you renew all your licenses at the same time. Why are we asking people to fill out 2 different forms? Why are we spending the time to recreate these new forms on this new system when I think what we have here still meets the law and would work appropriately? So that's what got us started in thinking about rulemaking, and Pellsby was going to offer to help us walk through this to get this changed, and it was determined, at least it was thought, that we do not have rulemaking for that. So that's one of the pieces that I think would really help in our modernization plan. The last piece, and I know this isn't probably the time to be looking at it, but I think BOSA is really going to need to have some more staffing to do the work that we're doing. I can just give you an example. I left the office on Friday at 2 o'clock for a meeting, was back in on Monday morning. It took me until 10 o'clock that night to get through all of our emails and to answer the phones, to be a resource to different organizations and educators in Minnesota. For me to review all of the conduct reviews and all of the ethics complaints is a heavy lift without some additional support. So down the road, I really believe our organization is going to need to do that so that we can stay on top of good administrators and making sure that things get done in the best way possible. Below is, you can see how our numbers are coming together, and then I will turn it back to Superintendent.
All right, thank you. Basically, in summary, you have a little brief overview of all the things that the Board of School Administrators oversees. The ask is really about trying to help alleviate some of those things that are just holding up the time. And when I joined the Board of School Administrators, or when I was appointed in 2020, 6 years ago, Karen is right. She wasn't with us at that time yet, but it was very manual entry. There were people, we didn't even have a systemized way to track automatically who had paid their license renewal fees. By getting that more tightened up, the board is bringing in more money now. When you think about 7,000 employees, if we can continue to keep up with that, which is really important that people maintain their licensure, you know, that money, to be able to just even use that money to staff the program would help us. It's not, if we can increase our revenue that we're bringing in, it really isn't something that costs the legislature money, because we're already basically able to pay for what we already have. We're cost neutral already, and we're really working to increase those, you know, those fee collections and all of that as well. I just want to give you a brief idea. If you think about it from all the way from people who want to become a school administrator, right? So the oversight of those 13 universities that have to get audited every 5 years. In fact, our board just completed the audit at Winona State University for their administrative licensure program recently, last month, I believe, or in January, early February. So every one of the universities that offers our administrative licensure programs in Minnesota has to get audited and reviewed, and we're very, very diligent with that, because the quality of those programs will help to build the quality of the candidates who graduate out of them and eventually become school administrators. So if you think about everything from people who want to become an administrator, the licensing and the oversight of that at the universities, all the way through, once you are an administrator, how do you navigate renewal of your license? How do you navigate ethics complaints when we get them? When there are complaints, that we make sure that our administrators are behaving in ethical manners that are compliant with state laws and statutes, all the way to retirees. Someone might retire and they let their license lapse, but then someone called them up and said, hey, we need to can you be a fill-in superintendent? And they need to reapply for a licensure. We help them through all of those pieces. I know that Karen's done an amazing job with the tiniest team you can imagine, but with 7,000 administrators, and that doesn't even count the people who are wanting to become administrators or who are trying to move to the state to be an administrator here, the amount of time it's taking is really overwhelming that really small team. So that's something that we'd really like to advocate for as well. But in general, we serve a complaint can come in from, we had a complaint about someone who talked about mold in the school and was upset with the administrator's response, to, you know, obviously unethical behavior with finances or boundaries and things like that, to lots of just ticky-tacky questions about licensure. In summary, just want you to know what we do in the Board of School Administrators. Really grateful for our partnership with PELSB, with our partnership with the legislature and the Minnesota Department of Education. Just want you to know we're here and what our needs are right now.
Thank you. Members, questions, comments, anything? That was very informative, and it was nice to hear, and keep us updated on the FTEs issue, because we should be aware of that. So thank you so much. Members, I want to Senator Duckworth.
Before we wrap up, Mr. Chair, I just want to say I have enjoyed all the historical knowledge tidbits you've been sharing before committee, so just some feedback for you.
I wished I'd had you in class. I just want to remind members that we've asked you to bring in 2 students from your district, and so whatever day you were assigned, stay on top of that. It'd be a nice thing to see kids from your district. On Monday, we're going to hear a presentation from the Minnesota State High School League. On Wednesday, the hearing was mostly based around school safety. We are adjourned. Enjoy the rest of your day.